All right, good afternoon, traders. Today is July 10th, 2025. My name is John Carignan. I am the lead instructor here at the day trading service for hit and run candlesticks called BYOB Trading. It stands for Be Your Own Boss. Hey, let's go take a look at some charts today. I made 21K. By the way, I also doubled the 27K account that we started on Monday. Let's take a look at what happened today. All right, so we'll start out with just going to hit the 10-minute chart so you can see what happened today. We had a beautiful 10-minute uptrend. All right, from I'll just say from about 11:15 or 10:30 all the way up till 2 o'clock right there. All right, so then after that we wound up pulling back to VWAP with a nice bounce coming off of VWAP. Oh yeah, and let me make a reminder. All right, by the way, Monday, July 14th, 2025, we have open house in the RWO room, also known as Right Way Options. Doug Campbell will be presenting. He'll be talking about entries and exits, the 3/8 trap, what he looks for trades, how he enters, how he leaves, how he manages. He'll talk about money management. He'll talk about trade management. He'll talk about spreads. He'll talk about how to grow a small account. Okay, so that's Monday, all right, the 14th, this Monday, from 9:25 till 4 p.m., all right? Now, let me just say, you'll want to get there probably about 9 o'clock, because what he does is he creates this really nice video. And if you log into the room and you look up at the top where the alerts are, he gives you a kind of a summary of what's going on and what's happening in the market. So look up in the alerts when you get in the room, and you'll see a little link, all right, for a YouTube video about what happened the day before and how to get ready for today. All right, so when you do come in, make sure you look up in the upper left-hand corner where the alerts are. There's a video link. So don't wait till 9:25. I suggest coming in at 9 and taking a good look at that video. That way you're prepared for the day. So anyways, I will leave the link in my description of my video, but you can also take your smartphone, scan this link, and it will drop a registration page. Okay, all you got to do is tap that QR code, all right, link, and then you can sign up for registration or sign up to enter the free open house. Now, let me just say, it's no charge, okay, but you do need to get registered. All right, so come on in and get registered, and you'll have a whole day of learning from a master from 9:30, 9 o'clock, all the way till 4 p.m. All right, so there you go for that. Okay, that's Monday the 14th, 9:25. Again, show up at 9, and you'll get to watch that video. All right, and then on top of that, you can stay. Then you'll be ready. So when he opens up the market at 9:25. Okay, so there it is, that QR code. Scan it with your smartphone, click the link, register, and we'll send you the credentials to get into the room. All right, and the credentials to get into the room will be at, they'll come to you by email. All right, if you can't wait, all right, if you can't wait, there is a QR code right here. You would have to copy that right there. All right, but if that will be in the description of my video right there, but there it is. All right, that right there. You'd have to copy it exactly. It's almost That's pretty hard to do, all right? But anyways, we'll get you there. There'll be a description in the link on my video. And all right, so there's an open house next Monday. All right, you don't want to miss this. This guy's very good. Doug's very good at options. All right, especially spreads and finding the right trade. He's really picky about his trades because he doesn't like to lose. He has a very small losing streak. If there's, I don't even think it's a streak. All right, he's got a winning streak that's interrupted a few times by a few losers, okay? But for the most part, it's a winning streak most of the time, okay? So you don't want to miss that, all right? So here's SPY on the 10-minute chart. 10-minute uptrend, thank you, Ed. 10-minute uptrend coming into, not into the close, from 10:15, 10:30, all the way up till 2 o'clock, 2:15, all right? So we had kind of a trend day. And I said most trend days last till about, well, 2:30 right there, okay? So you can see 2:30, yep. 2:30 was the peak. That was the last high candle. And then after that, they started going down. So from 10:30 to 2:30, all right? And that's a normal trend day, okay? They don't all finish at the high of the day at the end of the day. There's only about 40 to 50% of those trend days, all right, that actually finish at the high of the day at the end of the day, okay? But you can count on that 10-minute uptrend, all right, for the most part until about 2:30, all right? And because we knew it was a trend day, all right, we had the courage to buy a lot of calls, all right, a lot of calls, all right? So we made some money on some calls. So let's start off with the first one, 626 0 DTE calls, all right? So here we go. We'll pop that up and I will fan that out just a little bit. Okay, now you can see right here the blue dots, all right, are the buys. Okay, and the red dots are the sells. So what do? The low of every candle, well, guess what? I bought it. Okay, I tried to buy the low of almost every candle. Couldn't get filled on all of them, but that was my objective, to buy the low of almost every candle. And you can see there's a lot of blue dots in there, okay? And then my other objective was to sell the high of every candle, okay? So you can see all of the red dots and to sell them for more than what I purchased them for. So you can see all of the red dots equate to sells or sale of options, okay? So I bought them low and sold them high, all right? So I bought the low of the candle and tried to sell the highs of the candle, okay? So I made 9K doing that. Then I got some 627 calls. And guess what I did with those? Same darn thing, okay? Again, buying the lows and selling the highs of almost every candle. Couldn't get them all, but I got a lot of them, all right? So buying the lows, selling the highs. Okay, so that's 627, 0 DTE calls. And the one before that was 626 strike, 0 DTE SPY calls. Okay, so these all of these options are on SPY. I did trade some Intel today. Okay, made a little money on some Intel. We'll go over that in just a few minutes. All right. Anyways, okay, made about 4K right there on some 1 day till expiration, 625 calls. Okay, so we'll look at that. All right, and you can see again, I tried to buy the low. I was a busy guy. All right, I was trying to buy the low of almost every candle. I couldn't get them all. You can see, and sell the highs of all the candles. Okay. So you got to have some inventory to sell the highs of all the candles, okay? So buy the lows and sell the highs of all those candles in this 10-minute uptrend that started at 10:30 and it ran till 2:30, okay? We had a good idea. It's probably going to run till 2:30, and you can see that's what we did right there. Okay, made about 1,200 on some 1 DTE 630 calls. Okay, again, buying the lows, selling the highs buying the lows, selling the highs of those candles, okay? Puts, made those, I had some puts that were long, that were underwater, so I created a, bull put spread, all right? Bull put credit spread, all right? So while price was going up, these puts, I sold these puts and made some money off of those puts for about 1K, about 1,000 on those puts right there. Okay, so I bought them. Actually, I sold them yesterday, and I closed them out right here on this dip right there. So I closed them out on that dip right there. Actually, we hit a target. Okay, and our target was, I think it was like 525. 525.80, 525.70 or something like that. Okay, so we hit a target and I closed those out. 0 DTE, 624 calls, made 679 on those. And you can see I had a lot of those from the day before. I bought a little extra on the dip here and sold them into the high. Really wasn't interested in holding those for too much longer. 1 DTE 615 puts, those were the ones that were underwater. You can see I was able to pan this over, okay. Was able to buy and sell and get out of those for just a little bit of profit, 153. Okay, and then I've got some 8 days till expiration, 635 calls. I've got some 21 days till expiration, 640 calls. And I've got some 15 days till expiration, 640 calls, okay? I didn't make much on those. Again, I'm looking for SPY to head on up to 650, all right? Eventually. I don't think it's going to get there right away, but I think there's a pipeline of good news that could come out, including rate cuts, including peace around the globe, including big better bill, whatever that is. Okay, anything that would cause price to probably move in the upward direction. Okay, maybe even some good trade deals. Okay, so we'll see what happens, but I do have some long calls. And during the rally today, okay, I bought the lows of those. All right, kind of bought some lows and sold up at the highs up there, okay, on all of those. I was underwater on those until I bought some to double down and then get out right here, relatively with a little bit of profit. That's it, just a little bit of profit, and then I reloaded at the end of the day. All right, so that's what happened on all of those. Okay, you can see where I bought and then got out at break even, and then I sold a little more, and then I sold some more. I wanted to sell some up there, but I couldn't. I wanted to hold some in case we went to 630. We never got there, so I started to accumulate again after selling what I had, kind of bring my cost basis down. All right, so that's what happened on those. On Intel, we had I bought the 1 day till expiration, $20 calls. Those are in the money. And I managed to ink out about $70 on those, okay? Those were $70, and I saw Intel making a beautiful wedge. Let's go look at that wedge that I saw on Intel, and I thought it was poised for a breakout. So you can see here's Intel. It was making a nice wedge on the 5-minute chart. Okay, I only made $70 on those calls. So you can see here's the price. You can see this wedge right here. All right, and then you can see where it stopped. So it looked like it was going to break out. They had a pullback, and then they finally had a blast off up here, and they came back, pulled back to on top of VWAP here. So Intel's been bullish lately. So you can see that wedge. I was looking for this to blast off and shoot up to $25, $24. Okay, so that's why I bought those calls. I thought that was going to happen within one day. Didn't quite go far, got up to 24.05, and that was it. All right, so I made $7 on those 1 DTE, $20 in the money calls on those right there. Okay, so that's it. That's it, really it for the sales today, or for the revenue that we traded. Okay, was SPY, QQQ. So let's go back to SPY for a minute here. All right. Oh, if you want to see what I'm holding for overnight, I am holding overnight. I have, again, some of those 21, 15, and 8 day DTE calls, 640s and 635s. All right, got some 628 calls for tomorrow. Got some 630 calls for tomorrow. Got some 625 calls for tomorrow. Okay, so you can see this is the position size right here. All right, that's the position size. This is the days till expiration right here. Okay, and these are the strikes right there. That's the strike right there. So we started this off with 27K. You see we got it all the way up to 70K today. Okay, so we have officially doubled the 27K account we started on Monday. Okay, so there's what we traded, and you can see I just shared with you what we traded, and that is not what I wanted. I wanted this one, positions. All right, so let's move this over here. All right, let's go see what we got for a 10-minute trend. I'm pretty sure we got a 10-minute downtrend coming into the close. Let's pan over. Yes. See, the 3 EMA is underneath the 8 EMA, so we got a 10-minute downtrend coming into the close on the 10-minute chart. There's SPY. On the 2-hour, I think we still have a 2-hour uptrend. Let's pan over. We still have the 3 EMA is on top of the 8 EMA, so we still have a 2-hour uptrend coming into the close. All right. On the daily chart, hey, guess what? We made new all-time highs today, okay? Really don't need to say anything else other than you made new all-time highs, okay? So that's bullish, okay? Anytime something makes new all-time highs, if it's not in an uptrend, it's just started an uptrend, okay? If it's making new all-time highs. So SPY makes a new all-time high. What do I like to trade? I like 10-minute uptrend over VWAP. All right, that's inside of a 2-hour uptrend. You know, because if you got a 10-minute uptrend over VWAP and it's inside that two-hour uptrend, you got a 2-hour uptrend. Okay, there's a good chance that's going to move up. All right, with the trend. All right, it's going to go a little further than if you did a counter trend. It's probably going to sink to the 8 EMA or the 3 EMA and get stopped right there. So I like 10-minute uptrends inside of 2-hour uptrends. And I like it when those 2-hour uptrends are inside of daily uptrends. And those daily uptrends are inside of weekly uptrends. And those weeklies are inside of a monthly uptrend. Okay? And I like it when they're all moving up like that. All of them. The 2-hour, the daily, the weekly, the monthly. They're all moving up. And they're over the prior all-time high anchored VWAP or the all-time high anchored VWAP. So you can see if I move this up to the prior all-time high, price is up over that and they're moving up. Okay, so you can see that's what we're interested. That's what I like to trade. Those 10-minute uptrends inside those weekly uptrends, inside the daily uptrends, inside the 2-hour uptrends. You get the deal. All right, so you can see it. It just works out much better. You got all of the time frames on your side. All right. I like it when the weekly's on my side. All right. It's no fun when the daily's on your side, but the weekly and the monthly are not. Okay. It works out so much better when you got the 10-minute, the 2-hour, the daily, the weekly, and the monthly all working on your side. All right. Moving up and making higher highs and in an uptrend. Okay, it just makes it a whole lot easier than fighting one of the trends within on that time frame. Okay, so there's SPY. That's what I like. The game plan, we'll take a peek at it. Not that it really mattered much. Okay, pivot right here. Price pulled back to the pivot and then just ripped to new highs up here. Okay. Okay, there was the pivot was 623.10. If you caught the morning video, I said above it I'm a bull, below it I'm a bear. You can see we had a red erases green entry. See the red candles that moved down? So we had a red erases green entry right there. And then we had a J hook right here that caught on VWAP right here. Okay, see that big tail? And then green candles up. And then you had your first, if you didn't catch this J hook or the red erases green, you had a green erases red entry. Yeah, I meant green erases red, yeah. You had a green erases red entry right up here over 624.55. Okay, so that would have been yesterday's high. We'll just scan out just to see yesterday's high up there. So that would have been the bulls erasing everything that the bears have done to push us down. And that would have been the green erases red entry right there, right over 624.55. Okay, so if you didn't catch the 10-minute uptrend, you had a red erases green entry, all right? And you had the J hook right on top of VWAP right here. You had a nice 10-minute uptrend over VWAP right there. All right, so that was the game plan, and the game plan worked again today. All right, so there's SPY. What options do I like? I happen to like a one day till expiration. Friday, I like Friday options. I like them on the multiple of 5. They have more open interest on Friday, and they have more open interest on the multiple of 5. But I do happen to like the $5 to $15 out of the money. They are much cheaper. They offer less risk, but you just don't get the performance that you would if you had an in-the-money option 0 days till expiration. Okay, again, I tell everybody every morning I like 10-minute uptrends over VWAP, especially when the trend, all right, and the candles are breaking away from VWAP. You can see this is the brown line. Lots of space in there between the trend and VWAPs, okay? That's where the money's made right there, okay? Lots of space, okay? I like 10-minute downtrends. We didn't have one. We had a little one here, okay? But all in all, every candle was still attached to VWAP, okay? Almost every candle, except for these two right here, which hit the pivot and then bounced. All right, so I like 10-minute downtrends under VWAP when they're breaking away and from VWAP as price is moving down. Okay, so we had a red erases green entry below 621.05. That never even triggered. You can see we got back to the pivot, and that was it. And then we bounced right there. Support for tomorrow should be right on top of this. Right on 624.55. All of this should offer good support. Right through there. Right on top of that peak. Okay? 624.55. I don't know. I think we're moving higher tomorrow. I actually do. I think we are heading up to 630 tomorrow sometime. We got 10-day ATRs, $4.64. So I can see probably price doing the full 1 ATR, and that would drill us right into 630 right there. If you take that 464 and add it to this 525.45, that would drill us right into 630 tomorrow. So I really see us heading to 630. We'll see what happens, all right? Again, I have hopes and dreams, and they don't always come true, but I think we get to 630 tomorrow, okay? Mel says, and Judy says, thanks, John. Another winning day. Awesome. Judy, I love it, all right? A lot of winners today in the trading room. I am so pleased to see all those winners, all right? Was a great day trading that 10-minute uptrend. All right, so let's go take a look at QQQ. All right, QQQ. We'll look at it on the daily chart. And I think QQQ hit a new all-time high. All right, we'll see what happens here. Let me push this up. See if I can take a peek. Get the crosshairs out. The high 557.63, 557.30. So no new all-time high on QQQ, but lower high, lower low, but still closing over the bullish trap over the 17. Thanks, Scott. Yeah, not a new all-time high on QQQ. Let's check out FNGU. Okay, that's still bullish up there, okay? It's up over the prior all-time high anchor. VWAP, okay, you're up at the top of quadrant 4, and you're in an uptrend, okay? Same as SPY. It's in an uptrend. It made a new all-time high, okay? It's in an uptrend, and, it's up at the top of quadrant 4, obviously, okay? So it's bullish. QQQ is still bullish. All right, just because it didn't make a new all-time high today. Okay, let's take a look at FNGU. FNGU, same as QQQ, got a lower high, lower low, closed under the trap, but over the 17, still bullish. Look at that consolidation, holding that higher ground up there. That's bullish. All right, watch this one for tomorrow. I could probably foresee a nice bullish engulfing candle. We'll see what happens. Okay, but that's looking good. FNGU, all right, top of quadrant 4 in an uptrend, making higher lows and higher highs. Let's take a look at IWM. Okay, look at IWM, puts in a new rally high today. Higher low, higher high. That's bullish. It's in the upper third. It's over the all-time high anchored VWAP. New rally high from April. That's bullish and in an uptrend. All right. Let's take a look at Diamond Dow. Diamond Dow, higher low, higher high, closing over the trap, over the 17, up at the top of quadrant 4. That's bullish and in an uptrend. Look at that. Higher lows. See these lows right here? It's got higher lows and higher highs. Okay, that's Diamond Dow. All right, that's bullish. That's in an uptrend. Let's take a look at the technicals. T21.22. We spent the day, popped into the overbought zone and camped out there and made the bears uncomfortable all day long. We camped out inside the overbought zone, drinking the bears wine. All right, so there we are, overbought zone. Yes, today. All right, all day. T21.23. Bullish gap up. There's a clue where bulls are in control. Whenever you see a bullish gap up and the bears can't fill it by 12:30, all right, chances are, you know the bulls are in control. Okay, bulls are in control. Look at price move up, hold the higher ground up there. That's bullish. Anytime price moves up, holds the higher ground, that's very bullish. Anytime price gaps up and the bears can't fill the gap, that's bullish. Look at this. We had a little gap yesterday. Couldn't get filled by the bears. Another gap the day before. Look at this. Couldn't get filled by the bears. Okay, another gap over here. Couldn't get filled by the bears. We had a little gap here on the 7th, and the bears actually did fill that one. Okay, but it wasn't a big gap. Okay, but they didn't get this one right over here. Okay. So bullish gap up, again, not filled by the bears. You know the bulls are in control. Look at the move up, hold the higher ground. Another move up, hold the higher ground. It's like a repetitive pattern. They just move up, hold the higher ground, break out, hold the higher ground, break out, hold the higher ground, break out, break out, break out. That's all you see. 15-minute chart is in an uptrend, okay, because it's making higher lows and higher highs. So that is a new rally high for T21.23. Okay, that's a new rally high for T21.23. Again, up over the 200 SMA. That's bullish. Making higher lows and higher highs is an uptrend. Nice work on T21.23. 15-minute chart. This is the 3-bar chart. Okay, 3 more green candle bars. Again, a new rally high for T21.23. We're up over the flat 200 SMA. All we got is this breakdown candle, all right? Chances are we're headed off right up there to attack the all-time highs. This is looking fantastic. There's nothing in the way now, okay? Look at how high price is. Maybe a little bit, okay? Right through here, we got a little resistance coming up, but that's it. All right, just this area right through here. Once we get past that, it's smooth sailing all the way up to the highs for T21.23. So got a little bit of resistance right over here, but other than that, it's looking good. So there's T21.23 3-bar. Again, you got a low, higher low, got a high, higher high. That's in an uptrend. That's bullish. All right, new rally high for T21.23. Let's take a look at FNGU. It's a 15-minute chart. Today's price action on FNGU. A little red, all right? Red from the beginning of the day to the end of the day with a two tequila shot lunch here, right here. So price action caught underneath the 200 SMA. All right, so we'll see what happens tomorrow. Caught underneath that 200 SMA right there. And they filled the bullish gap from the day before. All right, still up and holding the higher ground. That's bullish. Up over the all-time high anchored VWAP. That's bullish. Okay, let's take a look at a few sectors, and we'll start off with XLE. Okay, XLE is making higher lows and higher highs, so that's bullish. Okay, they're having trouble holding the higher ground, though. Notice they move up and they give it up. And they move up and then they gave it up. Well, now they've returned. Maybe they're going to move up again and make another higher high. We'll see what happens. Nice bullish candle today. Outside day, which is a higher high and a lower low. Closing up over the all-time high anchored VWAP and closing up over the bullish trap, closing up over the 17, on top of downtrend line 1, on top of downtrend line 2. This is looking great. Not in the upper third, not in the lower third. Lower third would be bearish, upper third would be bullish. They're just neutral, okay? Because they go up and then they give it up, and then they go down and then they give it up. So they're just still stuck in neutral land right there, XLE. But definitely acting bullish, making higher lows and higher highs. So they're in an uptrend. All right, it'll be interesting if they can finally get somewhere and hold the higher ground. All right, so we'll see what happens. That's XLE. Let's take a look at USO. All right, USO is a lower high and a lower low, closing underneath a bullish trap, but over the 17 EMA, on top of the 3-year high anchored VWAP. That's the pink line. USO was bullish up here in the upper third, but not today. All right, they were bullish. They couldn't hold that higher ground, so they're just neutral again because they're not in the upper third. All right, going up and kind of giving it up right there. If they could have held this area up here into the upper third, they'd be bullish, but they're giving it up, so they're just neutral. See how they went up and then they gave it all up. That makes them neutral. See how they went down and they gave it up, so that's neutral. Okay, they got to get up and hold the higher ground. Okay, they're not in the upper third, not in the lower third, so they're just neutral through here. They're still in an uptrend, making higher lows and higher highs. Okay, so that's an uptrend. All right, they just can't hold the higher ground yet, so that is an uptrend. They're just not bullish. They could be bullish if they could get up there and hold that higher ground. All right, so that's USO. All right, that's in an uptrend, just neutral today. Yesterday was bullish. All right, let's take a look at UNG. UNG is in a downtrend. Okay, you've got a head up here. Right shoulder is this double top right here, these two. And you've got a left shoulder is this double top over here. And you can see price is underneath, making lower highs. See the high, high, high. See the highs, they keep getting lower and lower. All right, and then you've got lows. You got 4 lows right here, and we're making lower lows. So we're making lower highs and lower lows. That's a downtrend. All right, and you can see price action underneath a bearish trap because the 3 EMA is underneath the 8 EMA. All right, notice the 3 underneath the 8. 3 is the yellow line, and the 8 is the white line. So we've got a bearish trap, and you can see price action today is making a higher low and a higher high, closing in the bearish trap, still bearish, and still underneath that 17 EMA. That's also bearish. And if we blow this up and push this up a little bit, you can see they're down here in quadrant 1. That makes them bearish, okay? Because they're down in quadrant 1. This is the bearish zone. They're in the lower third. That's bearish, okay? And they're in a downtrend, okay? And they're showing you a head and shoulders pattern. Here's our head, all right? Right side, right shoulder, left shoulder. And you can see they broke the neckline, so they're coming down, all right? Probably going to challenge these all-time highs. That's UNG, okay? Downtrend, bearish. All right, let's take a look at gold. Gold moving up, holding the higher ground up here, but in a downtrend. It's in a downtrend, but guess what? Not moving down. All right, we'll take that. Price action, you can see here's a low. Well, they made a lower low, okay? If they take out this high, that'll be an uptrend right there. Got to take out that high. Price action today is, well, it's a higher low and a higher high, and they closed inside a bearish trap underneath the 17, but on top of this all-time high anchored VWAP. Okay, notice price moving up, holding the higher ground. That is a bullish environment when price does that. Look, they held this plank up here for this amount of time. Also showing an inverse head and shoulders. That would be the head. This would be the right shoulder. This would be the left shoulder. Looking poised for a breakout eventually, if they could just get past this downtrend that they're in. So they're in a downtrend. They're not moving down. They've moved up, and they're holding the higher ground up here in quadrant 4. That's bullish, all right? Just technically in a downtrend, but just not moving down. Still bullish up there, quadrant 4. Let's take a look at SLV. Silver moving up, holding the higher ground, also showing inverse head and shoulders. This be the head, that's the left shoulder, right shoulder. Price action today, nice candle. Higher low, higher high, closing over a bullish trap. Over the 17 EMA. All the way at the top of quadrant 4, that's bullish. About to make a new 12-year high, all right? This is a 12-year high anchored VWAP. Last time we were up this high was 12 years ago, all right? That's huge for them to move up and hold this higher ground for that amount of time. Okay, so silver bullish up here in quadrant 4 and in an uptrend making higher lows and higher highs over this 12-year high anchored VWAP. That's bullish. Okay, let's take a look at a few sectors. SMH. All right, SMH put in, new all-time high today. Okay, so drop the mic. Nothing else to be said. All right, doesn't get any better than that. SMH new all-time high. XLK new all-time high. Again, it doesn't get any better than that. Okay, XLF. We've got financials reporting next week. And got a nice candle on the financials sector. Okay, financial sector. Higher low, higher high, closing over a bullish trap over the 17. All the way up here at the top of quadrant 4. That's bullish. Consolidating over prior consolidation is bullish. Up at the top of quadrant 4 is bullish. Up over this prior all-time high anchored VWAP. That's also bullish. XLF bullish. It's in an uptrend because we're making higher lows. See, here's a couple lows. They're making higher lows. There's some highs. They made a higher high, so that's an uptrend. XLF is bullish. IYT. IYT puts in a new rally high today. Okay. Again, moving up. Hold some high ground, not the higher ground, but some high ground, and then blast off for a new high on the rally. Okay. Price up over this all-time high anchored VWAP. That's bullish as long as it's moving up. Price action up in quadrant 4. That's also bullish up there in the upper third. Okay, and in an uptrend. All right, here's a couple lows, making some higher lows. There's a high. There's a high. Making a higher high. That's an uptrend. That's bullish. Transports. So right now we got semiconductors and technology sector. Okay. Is bullish and in an uptrend. Transports, bullish and in an uptrend. Financials, bullish and in an uptrend. All of the Fab Five, okay, that's the Diamond Dow, the Russell 2000, the SPY, the S&P 500, the Nasdaq 100, okay, which is the QQQ, and the FNGU, which is the big mega cap stocks, okay, that's 10 of the biggest, heaviest weighted stocks inside the QQQ and SPY. Everything is in an uptrend, okay, so we're set for a really nice, robust rally. All right, as long as those mega caps can keep moving up, all right, they will keep dragging those indexes up higher and higher. All right, and not to mention, we got a lot of stuff in the pipeline. We've got possible rate cuts. We got an AI bubble we're working with right now that's looking to just jack the market higher. All right, and then we've got peace, possible peace around the world. That would be nice. A lot of good stuff coming out. Okay, we could get to 650. All right, definitely get to 650. Okay, and we got the dollar in a downtrend. The dollar right now is in a 3-year low right now. I'll just share with you what I show everybody in the morning. Okay, so the last time, this is the dollar index. Last time the dollar was this low was 3 years ago. Okay, see that major support? That would be all of this consolidation up here. Well, we broke major support. Okay, so now we won't have to deal with minor resistance. All right, and we're in a downtrend. Weak dollar, you know what? Weak dollar sucks for the consumer, okay? Because our money don't go as far as it used to, all right? But for the investor, that means new markets become available because we got a weak dollar, so now that they can convert their currency to ours and it's more affordable, we wind up being more competitive in the global trades. All right, so that's it for today. All right, I'll see you guys all tomorrow at 8 o'clock in the morning. Had a lot of winners today in the room. Okay, a lot of winners. All right, so we'll see everybody tomorrow at 8 o'clock. Thank you, everyone, for being here.